So hello, I just feel like sharing some things. And I think I'm going to talk about a couple of things in one upload so I don't have to try to remember to upload twice because I'll just forget. I have something else to do and I won't think about it and I won't care. Because I'm the kind of person that this is not a professional channel. So I'm not going to just have messages and spread it out like people who have their channels monetized. And so they spread out there whatever they want to do so they can make sure they have content. Well, that's not, how I do. When it's on my mind, I like to try to talk about it when I have the time to, because otherwise I won't think about it. I want to talk about so-called black people in the United States of America. It's been clear to me for, I would say, the last few years, like 3 years or maybe a little bit more than 3 years, not beyond 5 years. It's been clear to me that something is seriously wrong. And let me tell you what I mean by seriously wrong. This is not to put them down. I am saying that based on what I've seen in dreams and stuff, and based on what I seem to observe in person or just with so-called black people in the United States of America, these are not the same people that was around in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And I'm talking about something that's, obviously the energy is totally different. The vibration has gone down. So, in a lot of these neighborhoods, it used to be like the music, like, it was about a few weeks ago, I was listening to this song by Earth, Wind & Fire. And then I switched to an artist that's close to my age. Now, I'm in my 40s, but they still close to my age in their 30s, right? And I'm going to say Kendrick Lamar. I was listening to him. But because I'm dealing with things already, I don't need to take a chance at, messing with my vibration too much, right? You want to live, but you don't want to mess around with your vibration too much and have it too low, knowing that you're dealing with stuff and basically dealing with self. It's nothing else outside of self I'm dealing with, okay? Even if it appears to be something else, it's still self. Because that thing is still in my inner world, okay? So it's still self, even though it could appear to be even if it's another entity, another person that you think you see outside of yourself. That is still self. So I'm careful. And something told me to go back to Earth, Wind & Fire or something like that, or the music that came out like 70s, 60s. Stuff like that, go back to that music. So I know one big change is the change in music. One person called it low F waves. They were they have low F waves around the so-called black communities, and I do see that because I lived when I was in Los Angeles and I lived in California. When I lived in Inglewood, California, compared to other areas. It seemed to be a little bit more chemtrails around the area. But, Inglewood, to be honest with you, is a mixed crowd, okay? So I don't want to say they're just picking on black folks. I mean, that is a mixed crowd. And plus, it's becoming gentrified. So now we get to the point where we can't even blame it on that if it's a bunch of chemtrails out there now, which I don't think we'll see chemtrails. I haven't seen them too much lately, maybe one or two. But around the time I went to Inglewood like 6 years ago, it was already being gentrified and it was already mixed. So, and I saw a bunch of chemtrails, and then the airport is not far from there. So I just can't say that I want to say they're attacking black folks, even though black people do get targeted a whole lot for all kinds of testings and experiments and all that stuff. In this case, it's just too mixed, and it was already gentrified by the time I got there. But I want to say these are not the same people from that time, though, from the 60s and maybe early 70s, 60s. It's almost like the people during that time had more motivation, but then they were on a higher vibration too with the music and everything. And especially during the 40s, it seems like the closer they were to slavery, the more entrepreneurial they were, industrious or whatever you want to call it, the more motivated. It seems like the closer they were to being in slavery and just getting out, they were more motivated to build And it seems like as the decades went on, a lot of black folks lost their motivation. Okay, that's what it seemed like. Now, I know what's going on today. It's a lot of music that's just dead and it has no spirit, it has no soul. And you got generations after generations, like the last 3 generations kind of taking all that in. It's no wonder they're dead. And I'm going to tell you something, when you're vibrating that low, and this is the only kind of music you know that they playing nowadays, I don't even listen to the radio. I might listen to some music, but I'm going on YouTube and listening to like music from the 60s, 70s, and some 80s. Barely any 90s music, okay? Barely any 90s music. Some 80s, but barely any 90s. Because even in the 80s, people still wanted to be in love. I think when it got to the 90s, it was about a whole lot of sex. And with the things I deal with, I just can't be listening to too much stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with it, but you know, where I'm dealing with right now, I got to be a little careful. I can have a little fun every now and then, but I got to be a little careful. And I've always been directed back to the Earth, Wind, and Fire. And the what's that guy's name? That song called The Third Eye. What's his name? I forget his name. But anyway, he got a song called The Third Eye, Minnie Riperton. I'm always directed back to those kind of artists. Minnie Riperton, I want to get this guy's name right. He had this song called The Third Eye. He's elderly now. Oh, I forgot. But that's what happens when I'm trying to think about stuff. Now, when I get off here, I'm going to know his name. That always happens. Well, not always, but a lot of times. So yeah, so now, what I want to say about so-called black people right now, though, you know, you have them in the community, you know, you have these gangs and stuff. You have guys killing each other. Somebody said something very important too. How can you really in these neighborhoods just have a lot of guys that's just constantly killing each other? You know, something is going on, and and when we get to it, you don't, and this is something I heard Bobby Hemmett say. Those guys have been taken over already. Especially when you vibrating real low like that. When you vibrating that low. And this I know too, so I don't need to even bring up nobody else's name. But he the one that's I heard say that. So I'm just like kind of saying his name. But when you are vibrating that low, you're already easily infiltrated. So a lot of these guys that kill each other and they keep seeming to kill these kids. And I'm like, why are they such horrible shots? Why do they keep killing these kids? You see a lot of other dangerous neighborhoods, but you don't see kids getting killed as much. You see most of the time these people are going after their targets. But it seems like in these black neighborhoods, they seem to always hit these children. This almost seems like a hate for children. I mean, because, they don't know how to shoot. Why don't they know how to shoot? What's wrong with them? So you mean to tell me all these other communities, or these dangerous communities that's non-black, they seem to know how to shoot a little better? Why is it, did they go to target practice or something? Did they go to the gun range while they're in their gangs? Did they go to the gun range first and start target practice, like the MS-13 or whatever? I mean, because you hear that they bad, but you rarely hear them accidentally killing a bunch of kids all the time. Like, you rarely hear that. But in the black neighborhoods, for some reason, they keep killing children. Okay? That to me is on purpose, though. And I think the black community is being infiltrated. I think most people are no longer themselves. Most people are no longer themselves. And I've already said that. I said that a lot of black people are in the sunken place because I just seen it in dreams. Okay? And most people are just not here. I mean, really, I said some time ago in an upload that outside my mind's eye, when my eyes were closed, I saw like a desolate land and one billboard up and everything was desolate. Like, I didn't see no people, I didn't see no stores, I didn't see nothing. And at first I was trying to make sure that wasn't explaining something about me, but it was telling me what was happening. And I remember somebody saying in the early 2000s that most of the people are already gone, but what we're seeing is what we think look like humans, and it's like some kind of program that's still running. But most of the people are already gone. Like, nobody's really here still. Okay, nobody's really here still. But we're looking at what we think are human bodies. Okay, we're looking at what we think are human bodies, but most people are not really here. You see them driving their trucks or their cars in stores, but it's like we're looking at a bunch of avatars. They're not really there though. We're looking at avatars. So when we say most people are gone, we're talking about a certain spirit that they're connected to. We're talking about a certain consciousness, their real true self. I'm not talking about the avatars that we see in these walking down the sidewalks. Those are avatars that we're looking at. Those are avatars that we're looking at. Okay. So and that's like, I always get the feeling this it's a computer that's still running. It's a computer that's running. Okay. And so if anything, to end this right here, people always want to do something for the black community, or like, you know, what you gonna do for the black community, stuff like that. Or people always want to do, you know, to try to help the black community, stuff like that. And my thing is this: if you really want to help the so-called black community, it's best. Now, I won't try to put any effort towards it because I got to help myself. But some people that just really, they still kind of got that thing in them that they really have this, like they're all black. They're all about the black. My thing is that it's nothing that you can do until you bring them back from the sunken place. Too much damage has been done to black people over the decades. I mean, just look from the 40s and the 30s and look how motivated they were, even if it wasn't perfect. I mean, we can say it wasn't perfect. Okay, I got that. But if you're talking about infidelity, I mean, I got some other groups of women, white women, Hispanic women, all kinds of women that can give me, Asian women too. They can give me some stories. But see, a lot of times, sometimes they just stay married and stick it out. But white women, they get divorced. But, you know, they stick it out, but they lives, they go through hell. I'm telling you, they go through hell. Okay, so I don't want to, so yeah, when it came to marriages, okay, they had their infidelity and issues, but when I talk to these other women, they go through hell too. The only difference is these men knew not to go and get a bunch of women pregnant. It's like they are more careful than just like creating a bunch of kids all over the place, and that's the difference right there. Okay, but no, other than that, there's a big difference that's happened to black people as the decades went on, and it's like you can't just talk about economics right now with black people. They're dead. Most people are dead, but I ain't talking about most people. I'm talking about so-called black people right now. They're completely dead. They're dead. So I don't care about if I was to try to do something, which I don't have the room to do nothing for nobody else right now. And actually, let me take that back. I can have the room if I get, like, if we were more communal, like everybody help each other. But this is capitalism where everybody's separate and everybody have to struggle most of the time. But if this was like more communal where everybody had each other's back, regardless of me struggling, I would have room to help somebody else because I would know other people have my back. But because that's not the case, people are separated by families or friends or whatever, because that's not really the case, and you got to keep trying to go to the only family you know, and they can't be stretched either because they got their own stuff. So because of that, that's why I say I ain't got room to do nothing for nobody else. It's because we are not communal. We don't help each other, and that's just the system that we're in. It don't got nothing to do with black folks. That's the system that we're in, is that it's just like we're separated by families. I don't like the idea of family. I think family is a cult. I always said that. But that's a different conversation, because I call family a cult because your family could have a tradition or some beliefs, and then they don't allow you to expand as a soul because they want to box you into their beliefs and stuff, and then have you as an outcast when you don't go along with them. So that's why I call family a cult, a C-U-L-T, a cult. And they ostracize you when you don't want to go along with everything they say. That's the group of people that's not connected to anything too. Anytime you got a group of people, even if it's family, they don't even want to allow you to explore yourself, get to know yourself, just want to stick to tradition and believe whatever they believe. They're not connected to anything. I don't know what they are. I don't know what you call them. I don't know if you call them bots, automatons. I don't know this name for those kind of people, but they ain't connected to nothing high. They don't have higher minds. They're not connected to nothing else. They're just here. Like there's some kind of computer program that's running. They're a bunch of egos. That's what they are. But yeah, no. I wouldn't. I can't afford to help nobody else because I got too much going on, and I don't have people that have my back like that. I have people that help me out, but it's not a communal living where people just have each other back. And so, unfortunately, I can't do nothing for nobody else. But what I was going to say though is the main thing that needs to happen with a lot of black people is that they need to be brought back from the sunken place. They need to come back. A lot of them have gone. They have already been infiltrated. They're no longer there. It was a lady I was listening to yesterday, and she was talking about how negative a lot of black women were. And she was talking about when she read her comment section. I mean, I get that a lot of black women might, I guess, disagree with what she got to say. I listen to her. I might agree, I might disagree, but I don't have no vitriol and cursing her out and calling her the B word and all that stuff. There's a lot of black women that get in her comment section and just have these nasty, 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 terrible comments. And we can say, well, those might not be black women, but it could be somebody with black women type of pictures. But a lot of times in person, black people tend to be nasty to each other too. So even if those are not real black women spewing all that vitriol, in person, in real life, black women do tend to be pretty nasty to each other. Okay? And I say, see, when women are vibrating, anybody is vibrating that low. And there was another female, so-called black female YouTuber like that too, where she said, oh, I see, something happened because that person, I think, is an Eastern Star. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that. Something happened when I was thinking about this other black female YouTubers, and now I know why. But anyway, I don't care about that. She would get a lot of negative comments under her section too, and she was a mukbanger. And I would read the comments, and they were so extremely negative, and majority of them, I would say 99%, coming from black women. It was so bad that lady said she had to get therapy, and it was like anybody vibrating that low to constantly be negative and spew so much vitriol, including the men too. I mean, you hear them on YouTube though. They don't need to be in your comment section. You hear them on YouTube with their negativity. But a lot of these black women you see in the comment section that's just extremely negative, okay? And anybody that's vibrating that low, that they constantly have something negative to say, they constantly spewing vitriol, that means that person no longer is connected to, they're no longer connected to spirit. They're not connected to their soul. And I don't know, I don't even know how they were created, because I don't believe, some people were, you never know how people are created these days, but that is a group of people, and there seems to be a lot of young ladies from the last 3 generations that maybe 20s, 30s, and stuff like that, that have gone to be extremely negative like that. And it's like anytime you see a group of people vibrating that low, where they have nothing but negativity and just negative comments and cursing at you and just hateful comments, that lets you know that they have already been infiltrated. It's another entity that's already working in those women. Those women, the real people, are somewhere in the sunken place. They already gone. Okay? And so I was like, I still see a lot of so-called black people that still want to talk about economics and black people in economics. And I just wonder sometimes, what are you thinking? Are you seeing the same so-called black people I'm seeing? Economics is far from the conversation anybody need to have for so-called black people right now. Economics is the last thing to talk about. They are no longer there. They're gone. They're dead. So economics is not a conversation to have. You have that with people who are still alive or somewhat alive, but most people, like I said, ain't around no more anyway. But still, well, I mean, the thing you want to do is at least bring them back. Like, bring them back to themselves. But I'm not interested in no economics and giving all this money. And it seems like what people like to focus on is what you're giving them. Giving them money. Or you can't even tell them. Like, I know a lot of so-called black women wanted to warn them about certain black men, about murderers and what's going on in the streets and stuff, about these guys molesting children or killing their girlfriends or killing their pregnant girlfriends. These ladies want to keep warning other black women. And then I notice they get frustrated because it seems like black women are not listening. I'm like, it's because they're no longer there. They're gone. Like, they're gone. And I'm not saying that to be funny. I've already seen it. They are gone. They are in a sunken place. I remember seeing this video with Jay-Z. I think it was called 444. I think that was it. I think it started off with a boy jumping into a pool, right? I think that was the same video. And then you saw a lady doing this creative dancing along with a guy. Okay, I think it's called 444. But in that video with Jay-Z, you see this guy talking to this black woman that's like a Sophia, but she's black. She's like artificial intelligence, and she's like that Sophia, the artificial intelligence Sophia, but as a black woman. And when I saw that, I already saw like this is not just a video. This is what happened to black women. They're all gone now. They're all robots. This is not just a video. They're telling us what black women are right now. They are just completely controlled by artificial intelligence, meaning that they're all egos. And I'm going to tell you something, it's hard not to be strictly ego unless you go through hell in your life and it never stops. And then you get to a point where you try to work, you do something different. So it's really hard not to be strictly ego. Let me just say that, because in this life of capitalism, in this particular world that we in, is everybody's ego. So let me just put that out right now. Everybody's ego, but a lot of black people in America, anybody with common sense can know that they were the most targeted and the most under attack. Even though we say they do things to themselves, but at this point, I can't even say, even though they weren't perfect, I can't even say where they do this, because they've been gone since the 80s. They have been, and I've seen where they are. Like, I've seen them in another dimension. I'm not just saying that, I promise you. They are in another dimension. The real black people are in another dimension. I see them. They were taken in the 80s. I seen them with Jerry curls. And it's like, in this other dimension, they got stores, they got houses. It's not like what we see in the United States of America. It looked like a United States of America, but it looked like they were stuck in the 80s. And I remember I was listening to this lady talking about some kind of cataclysmic type of something happened in 1986 where there was a time loop. And I was like, and I'm just going to say it out. That was when I thought I saw Sirius B. Okay, Sirius B is inside of, like, we're multidimensional. So all this stuff talking about Mars and Sirius B is all within us. It's not outside. So people talking about they're going to space. What space? Because, I mean, it's all within us. We're looking at our subconscious mind. So what, you flying inside of me? Okay. What space you going to? And when I'm just looking at myself, when I look outside and I see them stars. Okay, but, you know, but it could be the same thing when you fly in a plane. I mean, we are in a kind of a virtual reality, so it's the same thing when you fly a plane. You're really not going nowhere, but because you're in a kind of in a video game in a virtual reality, it seems like you're going somewhere. But once you come out the game, you will see that you went nowhere and you went inside of a computer system. That's why people can be artificial intelligence. That's why most black people don't exist no more. Yeah, so yeah, I saw I think it might have been called Sirius B. But, oh my God, I wonder if I was caught over there and I'm like an ego, right? Like, ooh. I'm going to think about that, because I keep getting these glimpses of 1980s. I'm like, what are these people? And they showed me a house that I had over there. I'm going to look into that. Because see, something could happen. I could be over there too growing up, and then be an ego over here in the United States of America in this particular time too. I'm going to look into that. I know I sound crazy, but this is what I'm going into what I'm saying about black people. This is all tying into what I'm saying about black people. Economics is nothing right now. Black people are gone. They're gone and purposely done. Most people ain't here no more anyway, but black people have always been targeted for a long time, and they're not there. You're looking at some doggone. When I say egos, anytime I say ego, count it as artificial intelligence. That's what they are. Anytime somebody's completely ego, that's artificial intelligence. That means they're not really in their connected to their true self. Okay? And their true self don't have no body. You can't even see their true self. I mean, they have souls. It's like a ball of light. Okay? But other than that, you know, they're not, most of them not connected to that. That's what I'm saying. So the last thing I want to talk about is some economics to a bunch of dead people. And when I see, and I don't want to criticize this, but when I see a lot of black people that only want to stick, they see the problems that exist, even if they're not talking like I am about these people, these black people I saw stuck in the 80s. I saw they had Jerry curls. I'm not kidding. They had Jerry curls. This was like in 2020, 2021, when I saw what they looked like. They were all dark complexion. I'm brown skinned. Nobody over there is brown skinned. They're all dark skinned, but they look like black Americans, but they're all dark skinned. Okay? And not dark skin, but darker brown skin. I mean, not like dark, like jet black or black blue black. But they're like a darker complexion that, darker than me, like a couple of shades darker than me, like brown skin. And but I saw them with Jerry curls. I saw them look like they were in the 80s, and I saw the stores and everything that looked like they were like it looked like it was 80s, right? And then that made me realize, is this connected with that doggone time loop that happened in 1986? And some of these these souls were caught in that time, and then I could be over there too. So I need to look at that. I could be over there. Because right now, what I'm looking at, this is all an illusion. It's not real. I think I think my real self might be over there. I think my real self just might be over there. And so, when you really get to it, and I know I'm going on long because I'm thinking as I'm talking, like I'm having like a little bit of revelations here as I'm talking, and that's why it seems like I'm just talking. But it was what people might want to call serious B. I don't see nothing but black people. When I saw it, and I know that's not the real name of it. I was told that's not the real name of it, but they want to call it serious B. It's nothing but black people, nobody else over there. Okay? You might have other entities in certain dimensions, stuff like that. You might, not other entities, but like animals, like the dogs and stuff. They're like above the humans, actually. When we're in this virtual reality and we look at dogs and animals, they look a little domesticated unless you see wild animals. But really, when you get to those type of areas like the Sirius star system, they have a higher rank than human beings. I did see that part. They have, even the creatures that we see like reptiles and stuff, a lot of them have higher ranks than human beings. They're higher. Okay, but yeah, I'm done. But no, even if a person not thinking like that, I mean, you look in these neighborhoods where these people kill each other. You look at what's going on with a lot of black people, and then, you still talk economics, and it's like there is a clear mental illness that's going on, but the mental illness is due to the fact that they're no longer there. It's not just about slavery. I know people want to put all this stuff that's happening with black folks on slavery, with them killing each other, having a bunch of kids, not able to take care of them, and all this drugs. And I know people want to put all these problems that a lot of so-called black people have on slavery, but I think they're in a sunken place, and I think it's been done purposely to put them in a sunken place, and I think they've been infiltrated and taken over. That's what I believe. I believe they've been taken over. Okay? And the last thing I want to talk about is some economics. when I know they don't even exist anymore. They're dead. Okay? Anyway, I thought I was going to talk about something else, but I stayed on this a little longer than I thought I would. But, yeah, that's the best way you can help black folks if you want to do anything for them right now, is to bring them back to themselves, because they all gone. Like, they're like, the new Negroes are the ones that's completely controlled by artificial intelligence. And I saw a billboard when I was living in Los Angeles, and I was driving, whenever I would drive through Hollywood Boulevard, it was this billboard. It would be like this television show called The New Negroes. The New Negroes. And I looked at them and they looked so fake. They look fake. They look like computers. It was like brown men, like brown complected men. And they look like, it's what you call black men, but their complexion was brown. And they look like computers. Like literally, they don't look like real people. And it was called The New Negroes, and this is what's going on right now. The New Negroes. You have very few black people that's still connected to who they are. Most black people are controlled by artificial intelligence. And they're completely controlled by artificial intelligence. And so it's really, if they cannot come back to who they are, it's really nothing else to talk about. Okay? But anyway, that's it, and I will talk later.